someone commented on my last video, "You are insane, take your medication." And honestly, good! Because sane had me crying on a toilet at work, performing a life that I didn't even want. Sane had me shrinking my dreams so that the normies around me would feel comfortable. Sane was killing me softly and nobody noticed, not even me. Have you ever looked at your life and thought, when did I become this person? Anxious, frustrated, too scared of doing the wrong thing that you just did nothing at all. That is the sane world we live in. It uses fear to keep you locked in a cage that you built yourself. You know, most of us have been brainwashed by society, by our parents, teachers, colleagues, partners. They have convinced you that if you want more than they have, there must be something wrong with you. You're too much, you're unrealistic, you're cringe. Every label you can think of, I've been called it. And I spent so much time trying to tone myself down, thinking there was something wrong with me. Like wanting more was the problem. Like that was the thing that was broken. And I'm here to tell you there is nothing wrong with being too big for small-minded people. The problem is when you start believing them and make yourself digestible so that they feel safe. Let them choke. Momentum can either work for or against you. You are either shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, or you are expanding, getting bigger and better. And it just depends on whether you obey your fear or you use it. Back then I had a stable job, a secure relationship, everything was fine and normal. But I had this whole other side. At night I'm sending voice messages to all my friends, giving them pep talks, helping them through breakups, through career crisis, like a whole fired up, enthusiastic version of myself that nobody at home ever saw, neither my partner nor my family or me. I was the coach and hero in everybody else's life and the victim and coward in my own. And that went on until I met a friend who saw right through me. He had big plans for his life, crazy ambitions, but this wasn't about him. It was what he reflected back to me. The part of me that I was hiding and suppressing, and I was kind of jealous that he was just living it out. He saw right through my everything is fine act and refused to let me keep bullshitting myself. And one day he really triggered me when he asked, "Marty, do you actually love your partner, or are you just with him because you want to feel significant? Because he makes you feel needed and you're sacrificing who you are for that feeling?" That stung and I didn't need to answer. What was so tough to hear was that I knew he was right. Next day we're sitting in a cafe, he's working on some project and I'm just breaking inside. Hot, silent tears running down my face in front of people eating cake, and I realized I was hiding behind a mask for love, for significance, for approval. And my head was flooded. I grabbed the napkins because I had no paper and I started writing. Feverish, aggravated. I write to myself, the double life is over. I'm done performing. From now on, I am no bullshit Marty. I went home and I made a commitment to myself. I decided to rededicate myself to the version that I envisioned to be as a child, like we all did. The brave one, the bold one, the main character of the story. But I knew that in order to do this, I needed to start with my mind. What I really needed to do was to undo all the garbage that had been put in my head through society and authority figures. All the be realistic, tone it down, who do you think you are? So what I want to share with you in the rest of this video are the top 3 tools that I used to brainwash myself from a coward and a victim to a rebel who finally lives her own life and loves it. And if you find value in anything that I share, please like and subscribe to get more in the future. And the first thing that changed everything for me was I went Delulu. Like a kid, every night in bed before sleeping, I allowed myself to just imagine all the huge, thrilling things that I could think of unapologetically. I see myself on a stage talking to hundreds of people, helping them change their lives. Well, in reality, there was no business, no clients yet, and I was still on stage support. And I'm lying here visualizing a standing ovation. That's insane. That's embarrassing. And that is exactly what got me here. Society brainwashed us thinking that delusion is shameful. For little kids, it's okay to have dreams, but be realistic as an adult, okay? You need to be serious, you need to be logical, and please, you need a backup plan before you do something risky. When I was serious, sane, and logical, I was miserable. I was living the 9-to-5 normie life and sometimes crying on the office toilet, terrified that this will be my life till I die. And although Delulu is a fancy buzzword nowadays, being delusional to me just means holding a vision that doesn't match your reality yet. It doesn't exist yet. And the question is, can you hold this delicate vision despite everything and everyone arguing against it? And even if you don't want to call it being Delulu, the bedtime thing really works, because right before you fall asleep, your brain enters a state where the critical voice gets really quiet. Your subconscious is wide open, and imagining what you want to be, do, or have is self-hypnosis. So instead of scrolling yourself to sleep or going through your head what went wrong today and the to-do list of tomorrow, close your eyes and show your brain where you want your life to go. The most delusional, embarrassing, insane version of your future. The most fun thing you could imagine to have in your life. Every night, because your brain doesn't know the difference between a vivid imagination and the real experience. Okay, so now you are feeding your brain the vision every night. And then you wake up with an idea. Sign up for that course, write that person, start this channel. And your brain goes, who do you think you are? Welcome to imposter syndrome. Most people feel it and think, yeah, that's a sign I shouldn't do it. And I know that so well because my whole life I felt like a fraud. As an immigrant kid in Germany, I couldn't speak the language and I still had to go to school. I felt like every other elementary schooler, and the teachers were watching me thinking, she doesn't belong here. What is she doing here? Then during my master thesis at university, I was just waiting for the professor to come into the lab and go, Marty, what the heck are you still doing here? Everybody knows that you are just diddling with your brain data and don't really produce anything. And the funny thing about me is, I do it anyway. I show up. I can't help it. Even when I feel like a fraud, I do the work. And that's how I always ended up with results that surprised me more than anybody else. And now I know that imposter syndrome, embarrassment, this cringe feeling in your stomach are not warning signs, they are signals of growth. They only show up when you are reaching for something bigger than your current identity. Because you never feel like a fraud lying on your couch in sweatpants. And when you keep growing and doing new things, it will never stop. Like for me, it's this channel. The primitive Marty sitting in my brain tells me, Marty, it's so small. That's embarrassing. Nobody is listening. So what? Do I need success before I start? How does that even work? It's the other way round. You start embarrassed to have success. And look, primitive Marty, there are people watching right now, and some even spend their energy to comment. That's great, that's huge. So here is the second tool. When you have an idea and you feel imposter syndrome or embarrassment coming up, that is your signal. Say yes, commit, and then you can freak out all you want. So congratulations, you are now allowing yourself to be delusional with your dreams. You are acting, taking small steps in the direction, and your brain isn't having it. As a countermeasure, it will bring up all the times where you felt like you were not enough, like you are not worth it. Every bad grade, every time you were told to just sit down and shut up. Your brain digs up all of that just to say, see, you have never been that person. Don't kid yourself. And most people spend their lives believing that these thoughts are true, that their doubts are valid. That when they feel like something is not realistic for them, that's a fact. But thoughts are not facts and doubts are not commands. So now what to do with that? Just having positive affirmations on the mirror is fine, but arguing with your brain doesn't work. It will always win. It is louder and faster than you. So I stopped arguing and used the third tool. And this is going to sound ridiculous, but I started collecting moments in a treasure chest that I built out of a box of tea bags. First, I used the Notes app on my phone, where I saved every message from friends that kind of moved me, every small win that I have, every time I did something despite being scared. But that somehow wasn't enough. Then I had this random idea to build a treasure chest out of this box of tea bags with my own hands. And I carried small sticky notes with me and wrote all the tiny brave moments on them and put them into this treasure box. Because of course I had so many moments where it was just really hard to hold that vision. And in weak moments, your brain will always go back to the old stories. But when you then open your chest full of proof, or when you scroll through your notes full of brave moments, that is evidence that yes, you can. And your brain can't argue with evidence. So tool number 3 is track your courage. Don't track your results, or you can, of course, but also track all these small, courageous moments. That is how you brainwash yourself, because it will take time until you see the success. Being courageous, you can start after this video. So last week, someone finally called me insane. And yes, I worked hard to get here. I'd rather stay insane and live a life that's mine instead of being sane and crying on that office toilet 10 years from now. And that is what I wish for you. Now go and do the scary thing and tell me about it in the comments down below, because I want to see how insane can you get with your life.